Welcome to the Guided Podcast, where we support you to find the courage to listen and act. I'm Amanda Goolsby, and with me is
Allie Katz.
Let's get started.
Hello. Welcome back. We are here with a really special episode today because just last night, Miss Amanda was guided to go to Burning Man.
Oh.
So we're going to talk all about that today on Guided, the podcast. And this is surely an example of having the courage to listen and act. And I have been there, done that. This year, that is not happening for me. But Amanda, I'd love to begin by just hearing, how did this all unfold that you were guided to Burning Man and decided to listen to the guidance and make the decision to go with less than 24 hours notice? What are we, 12 hours in now? When did the guidance first come through?
Okay, so here's how it began. This year, I wasn't intending to go to Burning Man, although a part of me deep down, I think really had the desire. I was like, no, I'm going to pass on this year. And I had made that decision a couple of months ago. And
well, let's start there. Why were you passing? So last year was your first year.
Last year was my first year.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was absolutely incredible. I felt like I was so myself there. Like there was multiple experiences where I got to be in a full expression of my gifts in a way that I maybe just don't necessarily always get to experience on a day-to-day. Like certain things came out where I was like, oh, wow. For example, I brought my entire tea set to the Playa, and I brought my sound bowl. And, music is something that's been coming back into my life. And multiple mornings, I got on my pedal bike. I hiked a whole tea set on one side of my pedal bike. I hiked a singing bowl on the other. And I rode out to the temple and served tea and sang and did some like hands-on energetic healing work for hours, multiple hours, multiple times. And it was so beautiful.
And just to be clear, she said pedal bike specifically because these days, most people at Burning Man have e-bikes. That was not the case when I first started going in 2008. There was no e-bikes back then, but today everybody has e-bikes. But Amanda last year did not have an e-bike. She had a pedal bike.
I actually don't have a bike yet.
And you don't have a bike yet this year.
Yeah.
And you brought your tea set and your singing bowl. But last year was also a last minute decision to go.
I decided like a few weeks before.
Which, in the world of Burning Man is really a last minute decision. Most people who are going to Burning Man, not all, obviously, but most people who are going to Burning Man are making plans and getting everything ready for about, I would say, 6 to 8 weeks before, unless they're building a camp, in which case then it's 3 to 6 months before. So in all cases for you, it has been a last minute decision, 3 weeks last year, now less than 24 hours this year. So here's what you can take away from this is that you can take action quickly. You, the listener here, can take action quickly on any decisions that you make. Amanda is particularly good at that. I want to just go back for one moment to the first year that I went to Burning Man, 2008. And I was bringing my kids. So that did require a lot more preparation, right? Bringing my kids, they were 2008. So they were 8 and 5 that first year. And we were going to stay in Kidsville. The biggest thing that I remember about the preparation leading up to Burning Man with kids was food considerations. I'm imagining that you haven't even given one iota of thought to what you're going to eat on the playa.
Well, luckily I'm going to a camp that has food.
Okay.
So that is that's a plus, is that I am going into and joining a camp that has a meal plan.
Okay.
So I was able to get in for that. And then outside of that, I have a slight plan in my head, which is that once we land in Reno this afternoon, that I'm just going to pick up like things that I would normally have, bone broths and sparkling water and things that I can have quick on the playa.
And I imagine you're bringing your electrolytes with you.
I'm bringing
your favorite
lots of electrolytes.
Yeah. So that's food. And you are going in an RV. You have an RV spot.
Yeah.
And you found a ride in with the people that are in your RV. Do you want to share anything about who you're going with this year?
Sure. I'm going with one of my dear friends, Jules Schroeder, who is the founder of Unconventional Life. And Jules and I actually hosted a retreat together in Croatia on a mega yacht in 2021, in which Allie Katz attended. And
this is so weird. Maybe I'm supposed to go to Burning Man with you all today because...
Oh, and Captain Carl, who was the captain of the ship that we hosted the retreat on.
Well, and because...
Yes,
Jules,
come to Burning Man.
Jules and I were originally going to do the Unconventional Life podcast together. That was like the genesis.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, that was the genesis of the Unconventional Life podcast. And she and I spoke in my bedroom. I can really remember our meeting, and we were like, let's do this podcast together. And then whatever occurred, it just became clear that she was meant to do it and do it without me, go forward. And it's become a really big podcast, and it's become a really big brand for her. This is like the heart of her brand and her work in the world. And so it is pretty interesting to me that now that was probably 6, 7, 8 years ago. Do you know when she started her pod? Do you remember?
I want to say 2016.
Yeah, that's right.
2017.
Yeah. So in that time, and then here we are, you and I are doing this podcast together, and you're going to Burning Man with her. What does it all mean? I think it means I'm supposed to go to Burning Man with you this afternoon.
Go ahead. There's still time.
No. I did do a last minute trip to Burning Man in 2012. I was not going to go that year because it was the year that I filed bankruptcy. And of course, the reality, in my mind at that time was, oh, there's no way. Like, I can't, I just filed bankruptcy. Like, how can I go to Burning Man? I can't go to Burning Man. But then as it got closer and closer, because I'd filed my bankruptcy, I think on like August 6th, 2012. Obviously, Burning Man's at the end of the month. And in that time, because what happened when I filed bankruptcy, and we'll need to do a whole new episode on this in the future. What happened is, as soon as I filed bankruptcy, everything that had been stuck for me financially opened. Because once you file bankruptcy, it's a clean slate. And so all this energy opened up that had been closed down in the consideration process of filing bankruptcy. It all opened up. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait, maybe I can go to Burning Man. Ended up getting gifted a free ticket and flew onto the Playa. That was my first year of flying onto the Playa for 2 nights because I knew I had somewhere to stay and I didn't really have to worry about food for, 2 days. And it was just 2 days. And it felt like this whole like miraculous reality. Now you're not just going for 2 days.
No, I'm intending to probably go for a week, Sunday to Sunday.
And what are you bringing with you? Because you're not flying on a little plane in.
No.
You are driving in the RV. But are you going to fly in a little plane on the way back? You don't know yet. You don't know yet how you're getting back.
Haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, the joy of being young. There is something about that. And I do want to say something about that because
I trust life.
Yeah, I think that there is a reality for me in my youth that has somehow changed a little bit now, where, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, I was willing in some ways to be, or able to be, a lot more fly by the seat of my pants. And not because I trusted life more then. I think I actually trust life more now. But I wonder, what is it now that has me not wanting to do that? I think there's a gravity now at this moment in time to the work that I'm doing that has me really wanting to stay so intentional and so focused on what I'm doing right here, and not get distracted by whatever would show up in that fly by the seat of my pants reality that would be amazing, but could take me off course from the intentions that I've set here with my capital raise and with writing my book. I need to get chapter 3 actually written for my book proposal, because once I have 3 chapters written, we can move forward with the book proposal. I intend to do that this week. And then I'm actually going to fly up to the Bay over Labor Day weekend and go to a gathering of 3 of my friends that I originally deepened with at Burning Man for their 50th birthdays. And it's kind of like we're having this reunion, not at Burning Man, but celebrating all of their 50ths, and I'll be 50 in November. So maybe like a little pre-celebration. And what I really like for you about this last minute choice and your trusting life and flying by the seat of your pants is that you are in a place where what life shows you and what arises is what you need to see. Because I think it's something we've been talking about here on the podcast, other than your retreat in January.
Yep, my retreat in January, and a handful of private clients that I'm working with.
You have space.
I have spaciousness.
You're like, this is the time actually for you to be in the curiosity of, okay, life, show me what you got.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to hear from you what some of the initiations or like big life lessons Burning Man taught you over the years. Like, what were some of I've heard you say before, like, I grew up at Burning Man, and I'm curious what that means. And what were some of those initiations that through Burning Man you've now brought into your more mature years? Yeah.
When I started going to Burning Man for the first time, I was still Alexis Martinelli. I was this family financial and legal expert on TV, and I was having this first level of fame that was very much built on an identity and an image that needed to unravel. But I didn't know that. And the first year that I got to Burning Man, I think that the big thing that began to unravel was my relationship to money. And it was the first time that I experienced a gifting economy. A gifting economy. A gifting economy is quite different. And I don't know how much it truly exists at Burning Man anymore. Maybe you can come back and tell us, does this really truly exist at Burning Man anymore? Because commodification is really real now at Burning Man. But one of the 10 principles of Burning Man is no commodification. And it's this gifting reality. So to go into a week where no money is exchanged at a time in my life when every decision that I was making was made through the lens of money. How much money will it bring me? How much money can I make from it? Will this help me make more money? That was like the defining lens that I was making all my decisions through at that point in time, because I didn't have another lens. In some ways, that's what the lens I had been raised with. Will this lead to more money? And I think that's the case for so many people, even those who are like, oh, I I don't want to put money first. Yet they're still making their decisions through that lens of, will this bring me more money? Oh, I don't care about money. And yet the internal thoughts, the ones they don't share, are still very much about money all the time.
Or the subconscious.
The subconscious, drive and motivation. And so that was the case for me. I don't know if I really consciously knew it until I went into an environment where it was removed, where I couldn't buy anything, where no decision could be made through the lens of money because
money didn't exist.
Money didn't exist other than to like buy ice or something. And I wasn't buying ice. I didn't need to buy ice. And so that was the first like, whoa, okay, this feels really different to be in this world where it's gifting. It's not even exchange.
Yeah.
That's also different.
Yeah.
You know, exchange and gifting are different.
Barter.
It is not barter.
It's like, here, have this.
Yes.
Here, I want you to have this.
Yes. It is not reciprocal. It is gifting. So that was really the first wake up for me. Whoa, this feels different. The second wake up for me was around belonging. And it is quite interesting for me how this actually tracks with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Right? The first level of Maslow's hierarchy is security and money.
Food, water, shelter.
Yeah. And the second level is belonging. And so 2008 was really all about money. 2009 was really all about belonging in some way that I didn't quite understand at the time. But in 2009, I got a very clear message from Spirit that said, go find Eben Pagan. Eben Pagan was one of the top online marketers in the world in 2009. He and I had connected on Twitter. And so I knew him. He knew who I was, but we had never met in person. And I was still camping at Kidsville. And so I was there with my kids and my best friend and her kids and a guy named Max Simon and a guy named Aaron Ross. And my entire burn was focused on finding Eben Pagan. The entire burn. It was like a scavenger hunt for me. And I got into all sorts of experiences while I'm on this trek to find Eben. And on the very last day of the burn, before breakdown, before strike, I find him. He's speaking in this tent at, I think, a place called Spanky's or something like that. And it's a circus tent and he speaks for 3 hours and it was so hot. And I just listened the whole time. I'm like, I'm going to go meet him after this. And the minute I walk up to him is the exact same minute that his wife, that is now wife, Annie Lala, and a woman who has now become one of my sisters and a land partner over the years, Jenna LaFlamme, they both walk up to him at the exact same time.
Wow.
So Alexis Neely, who will become Ali Shanti, Annie Lala, and Jenna LaFlamme, these names are hysterical, walk up to Eben Pagan, also a funny name, at the exact same moment in 2009 at Burning Man. He'll go on to marry Annie Lala. He and I go to his RV. And I'm like, okay, Eben, this is going to sound really strange, but Spirit told me, talk about being guided, to find you because you have something for me. And he's like, well, I don't know what I have for you, but I am going to this David Data workshop next week in Ventura. Maybe you want to go. Maybe you're supposed to go. And I was like, okay, yes. Okay, I'm going to rearrange my entire life and I'm going to go to this David Data workshop. And because I had been studying David Data for some time.
Talk about flying by the seat of your pants.
Yeah. And so I ride my bike back to my camp and I go to my friend, Joanne, would you be willing for us to, instead of going back to LA, can we stop in Ventura? You hang with the kids in the RV and I'm going to go to this workshop at this David Data event for a week. And she said, yeah, sure. She was such a good friend. And at that David Data event, I met all of the people that would become my tribe, my community, the people I had been looking for, the people that would support me to step into the highest and best version of myself at that time, the people that would support me, honestly, to heal so much sexual trauma and wounding that I was suppressing, which was actually contorting me into being a certain way in order to fit in order to belong. And yeah, I found my people. And really that is, so that year after Kidsville, the very next year, I would go back to Burning Man with the people that would become Camp Mystic. We weren't Camp Mystic in 2010. We were part of another camp called Entheos or Entheon, but with Jennifer Russell and Brian Franklin and Hitch McDermott, who was he already? Yeah, he had actually come in to be the interim CEO of my company. This is a much longer story than we're going to have time for today because you have to go to Burning Man. Yeah, that's what happened. Is I found my people that would help me to heal my belonging wound. And over the years, the growing up process for me was year by year coming into more truth around who I was, why I'm here, what's mine to do. And I was able to measure my growth in that year after year after year. And for me, so much of that did have to do with my sexuality. Because it was so confusing. It was just so confusing. And also, of course, my identity. I was looking back at some images from over the years and some blog posts that I wrote from over the years. And that was 2009 when I met Eben. It looks like, from what I can tell online, that it wasn't until 2013 that I actually came out publicly as a two-named human. And in my awareness, like, I'm wanting to speak of myself as two-spirit in the way that the indigenous speak of people who carry both masculine and feminine dynamics inside of them as two-spirit. This wasn't a coming out of myself as two-spirit, which I think is also true, but as two-named. Because back then, that wasn't a reality. People did not have two names back then. Today, 2023, lots of people have two names. Beyonce has two names, and many
alter ego.
Yeah, right. Todd Herman wrote the book Alter Ego, and like it's a thing in the world. But in 2013, it was not a thing. But it was right after Burning Man 2013 that I had already been living that internally probably since 2011, 2012. In some ways, that was probably part of the bankruptcy journey. Part of me walking away is like, I don't know how I can be all of myself and be in business, because there's these conflicting parts. We didn't even know about parts back then. So anyhow, I think by 2013, I got enough courage from my Burning Man experiences to come out with both of these names. And then 2014, 15, 16, I will say one of the really big things, this is kind of strange, but interesting, I think, is my definition of success became becoming a mystic dancer.
Wait, what do you mean? Like if you could become a mystic dancer on the mystic stage, you were like, that is success.
Yes.
Okay.
Totally. Because up until, like, success to me meant getting on TV, writing a best-selling book, building $1 million businesses. But then what happened is
you were dropping into your expression and into your feminine.
Yes, I was dropping into my feminine, my self-expression. And really, for me, what success became was getting on that stage and being a mystic dancer and being in my body and being in my full self-expression. And I did it. I became a mystic dancer. I think I danced on the mystic stage at the Wednesday night party as part of the big show, maybe 2 or 3 years in a row. And it was really fun. It was really exciting. It was really amazing to be part of that group of women and to feel expressed in that way, to feel seen, even though I'm not a dancer by any means. But they really welcomed me and loved me as I was. And that was a huge thing. Healing the sister wound was a huge thing, and yeah, so that belonging journey. And I feel curious for you, because you seem to be going in having learned many of these lessons already that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So then what's next on Maslow's hierarchy is actualization. Is actualization. And so maybe this is, what you get to step into. Actualization. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, to me, actualization is about self-mastery. Mm-hmm. It's about really coming into a level of truly living into our highest and unknown and untapped potential. Mm-hmm. So it's like operating from and living into the field of infinite possibility. Mm-hmm. And mastery with self, mastery with mind, with my own psychology, mastering my physiology. It's like becoming even more devoted to my spiritual evolution and awakening path that I've been on for quite a few years now, recognizing and staying in longer states of knowing my true nature and coming from that place, coming from that field of love every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's right. I mean, I think that is the path, and so when I say that I grew up at Burning Man, I needed to heal my money wounds and I needed to heal my belonging wounds so that I could even have the potentiality of living an awakened reality, of living in truth of who I am, why I'm here, what's mine to do, and living in absolute alignment with spirit. And I think what I'm getting for you is that this journey is really about that. Self-trust, trust in life, and coming more and more into alignment, because what I hear is that last year you really tasted that. Mm-hmm. You really tasted that alignment where you got on a pedal bike and carried your tea set and singing bowls to the Playa and had, these transcendental experiences with people that just reminded you of who you are and the gifts you have.
Yeah. It was pure magic. And that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask you today, which is, my sense is that for people listening, that there's a lot of people that have always wanted to go to Burning Man. I hear that a lot. Like, I've always wanted to go, but they don't, or they haven't yet. And they can when they choose and make the decision to, even if it's 24 hours before. Although, I'm feeling a little bit of the like both the trust that everything I need will be provided and that I have what I need. And, it really teaches you how to like just be with the bare minimum of, hey,
intend, surrender, trust.
And then there's also this piece of, or the question that I had for you, I guess, is what are some ways that you sourced magic on the Playa? Like, intend, surrender, trust. And like, what are some, tips and tricks, the tips and tricks of Burning Man? Like, what are some pieces of advice that you would give to me or give to someone else who was going to Burning Man for their first or second time to like really be in the magic of Burning Man?
Yeah, this is one of the great life lessons for life, not just Burning Man. Number one is to have an anticipation of being supported. Just hold that energy of anticipation of I will be supported. Then ask for what you need. This is one of the biggest challenges I think that we have collectively as a people is we don't know how to ask for what we need. We do not know how to ask for what we need. And the Playa is a perfect place to practice that because really everybody wants to give on the Playa. It is a gifting economy. Everybody wants to give. Everybody wants to help. And so if you know how to ask for what you need, And then show up with everything you have to give. Like fully be prepared to just give everything that you have in every opportunity that you have to give. Because if we could all be in that reality, we actually can create a world that works for everyone. And the Playa is one of the best places to practice these principles. And so, and when you're asking for what you need, ask for what you need with no expectation of you having to give anything. You're just asking for what you need. And when you are giving, give with no expectation of receiving anything in return. Begin to actually separate those two things. And that is, I think, the ingredient of magic. And we often would say the Playa provides. The Playa is one of the places where we really get to see how quickly we can have a thought and a clear desire, and then watch as life delivers it to us. I cannot tell you the number of times I've heard stories of people being like, man, I really wish I had a, grilled cheese sandwich or a popsicle right now, or like some strange food thing. And then like literally
it pops up.
It's there.
Like you walk one more street and then someone's standing there with a cart of popsicles.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like again and again and again, that kind of magic occurs. Because I think that there is such a field that is created there that does have to do with clarity of desire and a desire to meet people in their desire, and just this yes energy. And this is, I think, more than anything, what I have wanted is to bring the Playa, bring that part of the Playa home. In my Camp Mystic, I think it was Jim who coined the phrase, the Grand Playa. Some people call it the default world, which is this world. And all I wanted after my first few years at Burning Man is to bring Burning Man home here. Like, I want Burning Man to exist here. And it does now, right? There are so many of us now that have made it into culture, where Burning Man culture has begun to be lived in our lives. And in fact, Josh Zemmel just posted a post today about after 20 years, why he's not going back. And one of the things that he said is because, or he's not going back this year, he'll probably go back again, but because he has already begun to live the principles and he's beginning to see the principles out in the world so much. But there's really this huge opportunity for you to practice that this year. So vulnerably ask for what you need with no expectation that you need to reciprocate. Give everything you have with no need to bring anything that you've brought there home with you, other than my coat. Do not give my coat away. Please bring my coat back. Unless, right? Unless there's a caveat there. If you meet somebody in deep Playa who's freezing and vulnerably needs a coat.
Someone gave me a coat last year and it saved my life. Well, they let me borrow a coat for multiple hours in the deep Playa and I would have frozen without it.
So if that happens, okay, you can give them my coat.
Aww,
you can give them my coat.
You're so sweet and generous.
You can give them my coat, because that's actually how it works. That's actually how we collectively get to shift the culture of scarcity and survival. We have to show up to help each other with everything that we have to give. And leave it all on the field. Knowing and trusting that we will make more, that we will create more, that if you don't come back with my coat, another coat will appear in my life when I need and want it. And I could actually just buy another coat. It's fine. At this point, And so right there, right, is this opportunity to like actually let go of the attachment to the material things that we think that we need, that we're like gripping onto so tight, and let it all flow through us with this deep trust and knowing we will make more. We are creative beings. We don't need to hold on so tightly to any of it. And I think that's what you're going to practice this year.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you may end up riding back in an RV on next Sunday naked. You've given it all away. You've left it all on the playa. Here comes Amanda.
Oh, man. So to wrap up, I want to share about a potential experience that I cultivated in my post Burning Man. I was like, you know what? When I go back to Burning Man, I want to try this. So here's something I'm going to try this year, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Yay.
I want to spend an entire day tonight. I don't know what the time frame will be, but I want to just go out on my own with no attachments to any of my friends or anyone that's known in my reality, and walk into a camp or a space, see where I am the most drawn, like who there in the space. If I just really tune into where there's like energy, like where I feel my energy being pulled towards, go have a conversation with them and invite them to go on an adventure. And on that adventure, there's some rules. The rules are you get to choose where we go, and we can go anywhere on the playa. But when we get to that next place, wherever this place is that you intend to show me, from there, sayonara. That's the end of that's the end. And then
find somebody else.
We do it again, and I do it again, and I do it again, and I do it again. And I see where, if I'm not guiding myself and I'm allowing myself to be guided by someone else, what do I see that I would have not seen? Because think about how often in our realities, even on the playa, we stay in our bubbles. It's like the bubbles of comfort. I got to see it last year where I was like at my camp, at your camp, at Playa Alchemist. And that's something that I like actually tend to do, being a little bit more introverted. I lean on the side of introversion, which is like, yes, I recharge by being alone. And also I desire, a part of my personality that I want to stretch is my willingness to just go up and talk to random people and to build connections with people that I might not normally just go up and talk to. So, hey, do you want to go on a mission? You get to decide where we go. We go anywhere. But when we get there and we have our experience, whatever that experience is, that's the end. We part ways. And then you can continue on. You can come back here. You can do whatever you want. And here's the other thing that I'm practicing is a lot of rejection, potentially.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that might be like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
I have no idea who you are. Like, no, I don't want to go on an adventure with you.
Yeah.
And so there's also the potential for a lot of rejection, which is a powerful skill to practice anyways.
Absolutely. It's so critical to get good at being rejected if you want to grow. So you're going up to random people based on who and what you're drawn to energetically. And you're going to ask them to take you on an adventure, go on an adventure with you, but they're leading the adventure. And then the adventure will last until you get to the thing and you do the thing, and then the adventure's over.
Goodbye.
And I love that so much. There are people that I met at Burning Man. It wasn't quite like that, but that is the other piece that I didn't say, which is like really keep yourself open to meeting amazing people. And knowing that I'm thinking of this man, Christian, this transhuman. Sometimes he's a man, sometimes she's a woman, human. And I think we met at the airport. And I, since then, have followed this human on Facebook and watched their journey through life. And it has been amazing to just see their journey and feel them through life. And this is how we met. And so I'm so excited. I'm so excited to hear about the people that you meet. And I wonder about you not just doing it one day, even. Like, what if in some ways this is your burn, not where you're like, and continuously going up to people and saying, hey, take me on an adventure, but where you are allowing yourself to move with your energy, which you do anyway, but in service to connection. In service to connection, not necessarily like we need to go on an adventure, but hey, I want to come hang out with you in your reality and see what your reality is like. Because there's so many different realities that are happening.
There's so many. And I feel like last year I only saw like, a little tiny percentage of what is Burning Man. And I saw so much. And it's like, wow, there's just infinite potential, And another thing that I did last year, and then we should wrap up. Mm-hmm. I've got to go to Burning Man.
Yeah.
I got to go get on a flight.
Yeah.
Is in relation to trusting and following the energy, which I really intend to do again, is I just go until I don't have any gas left, and then I sleep as long as I need to sleep. And then I go until I don't have any gas left, and then I sleep. And sometimes that means going for 12 hours. And sometimes that means going for 36 hours. And I fell asleep in random places. I slept in a hammock at a giant dance party that was happening. And I just fell asleep in the hammock, and I slept there for probably 4 hours. When I woke up, the whole party was gone and it was pitch black out. It's like 5 a.m. Yeah. So, who knows? I am committed to really seeing the creativity of humans this year and really allowing that to inspire me. I'm really committed to seeing any places in which I'm not in my fullest expression and letting this experience like really deepen into my bones so that even more of me can be expressed in the world with consistency as I come back and integrate. And all of the things that you said, I was taking notes while you were, while you were giving your Burning Man tips. So for all of you that are listening who have been curious about Burning Man, or maybe you've gone, or maybe there's an inkling energy in your heart that's like, I want to go and do this. Let this conversation be an inspiration to you of the magic and the possibility that is Burning Man by hearing all of Allie's stories, and also the freedom that exists when we allow ourselves to actually just go play, free spirited, go play and see where the guidance, takes us.
It is one of the best places to learn to be guided. That's for sure. Okay. Well, I'm so excited to hear all about what happens as you live into your guidance and listening and courage at Burning Man. And we will will there be another episode between now and then? No, I think it'll probably end up being our next episode, right? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, great. Have fun.
Yay.
Bye for now. If you enjoy the Guided podcast, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and be sure to come back next week. Until then, this is Allie Katz and
Amanda Goldsby.
And remember, life knows.